The expectation is that they're coming here to play baseball. They're coming here to get better. They're coming here with a dream. And part of my goal and my assistant coach's job will be to help them chase that dream so that when they leave here, they're better than when they got here.
Welcome to episode 331 of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast. I'm Joel McFarland. It's been a while since we last had a one-guest episode, but when an Alberta coaching legend like Ray Brown stops by, you absolutely have to roll out the red carpet for him. That conversation is coming up in just a few minutes, but first, the news headlines. Calgary's Michael Soroka made his second start since coming back from injury, and he was solid once again, this time against his former club. The Washington Nationals hurler allowed 2 runs on 4 hits and a walk while striking out 4 in 4 innings of work, but the Atlanta Braves came away with a 5-2 victory on Tuesday. Dogs Academy and Okotoks Dogs alum Tristan Peters has been added again in the field with the AAA Durham Bulls.
And the pitch from Joe Boyle is hit pretty well at the right center, giving chase is Peters low across as well. Peters dives out, and he's done it again!
At the plate, Peters had a 3-hit night on Wednesday and is now hitting .271 with 3 homers and 20 RBI. A bit of a dry spell for Matt Lloyd as he's picked up just 2 hits in his last 5 games. He's now hitting .293 on the season with 3 homers and 23 RBI with the AAA Memphis Redbirds. Vauxhall Academy grad Damiano Palmigiani has had his struggles at the plate this year, but has managed to pick things up in May. That includes this last Sunday.
3-2 from Adams, and this is lined into center field. That's dying for a base hit. It's going to score 1. Here's the throw from Rodriguez, and it's going to not be far enough. It's cut off on the mound, and 2 runs are going to score, and this game is tied at 2.
He has 4 hits and 13 at-bats this month, bringing his average up to 154 on the season with 5 RBI. Wetaskiwin's Matt Kootenay finds himself on a 5-game hit streak with the High A Tri-City Dust Devils, including this on Tuesday night.
As Nunez home, a full count pitch. Breaking ball, that's it high in the air to right. Going back on it is Rojas. Track, wall, gone! Kootenay hits it through the wind out of here to right. And the Dust Devils strike first on this Tuesday.
The Edmonton Prospects alum is now hitting .239 with 3 homers and 14 RBI on the campaign. After a couple of rough outings to end April, Matt Wilkinson is back doing Matt Wilkinson things. In his last 2 starts, Tugboat has allowed no runs on 4 hits, 4 walks, and 11 Ks in 9 innings of work with the High A Lake County Captains. He's set to pitch again tonight, if you happen to be listening, on Thursday when this episode drops. And we'll wrap up our trip around the pros this week with former Dog Mason Guerra, who's having himself a time with the Single-A Augusta Green Jackets lately, including a 2-homer game on Tuesday.
That's hit high and deep to left field. That's the equalizer. Mason Guerra clears the home run porch with his 3rd-round tripper of 2025. A mammoth shot ties the game 1-1.
He's hitting .207 with 4 homers and 8 RBI. On to the college baseball scene, and we'll start in the CCBC, where the regular season came to an end this past weekend. Each Alberta team ended up playing each other for a doubleheader. It all started Friday with the University of Calgary Dinos taking 2 from Prairie Baseball Academy. Then PBA swept the Edmonton Collegiate Hawks on Saturday, and it all came to an end Sunday with the Hawks taking 2 games from the Dinos. All told, the University of Fraser Valley took the regular season crown with a 21-11 record, followed by Okanagan College at 19-12 and PBA at 18-13. The CCBC World Series gets started today, being Thursday, with the final set for Sunday afternoon at Spitz Stadium in Lethbridge. Let's go stateside now, and things are starting to wrap up with regionals and conference championships before the College World Series season. And among the top 5 highlights from Prairie players this week, Nipawin's Kyle Fralick is the Canadian Baseball Network's College Player of the Week. He had 2 outstanding starts in just 5 days, allowing 2 runs on 11 hits while striking out 12 in 11 innings of work at the University of Texas at Tyler. He's 9-0 on the season with a 2.05 ERA in 12 appearances. Another Saskatchewan product, Carnduff's Carter Beck has been outstanding in his first season at Indiana State University. Over the past few days, he became the program's first player in 25 years to collect 10 home runs and 10 stolen bases in the same season. He's hitting .326 with 10 homers, 51 RBI, and 11 swipes. Staying in the land of living skies, how about the season Ethan Murdoch is having at Marshall University? He also belted his 10th home run of the season over the past week and is now hitting .267 to go along with 37 RBI and 4 stolen bases. And one more from Saskatchewan, as Saskatoon's Corey Waters was named the Region 9 Player of the Week after hitting .529 with 3 homers and 12 RBI for McCook Community College. He's now hitting .437 with 21 homers and has set the program record with 96 RBI and counting. And if that wasn't enough, he's also 4-3 on the mound with a 6.42 ERA, striking out 51 in 40-plus innings of work. And a shout-out to Vauxhall Academy grad Colin Fisher on being named first-team All-Conference at Midland Community College. The Ottawa native hit .404 this season with 7 homers, 63 RBI, and 12 stolen bases in 53 games. The Baseball Canada Junior National Team continues its Dominican Pro Academy Tour with games starting up this past Tuesday. They're taking on teams from the Blue Jays, Tigers, Astros, Brewers, Padres, Phillies, Mets, and Reds. The roster includes Albertans Easton Katura and Tay Thierman, as well as players who train here like William Labonte, Tim Piazantine, and Max Poirier of Dogs Academy. In the Baseball Alberta Elite League, the Red Deer Rangers have taken over top spot with an 8-3 record heading into this weekend's matchups. The Parkland Twins sit second at 7-4, while the Calgary Cubs have slipped to 7-5. The latest players of the week include Parkland's Garrett Ostapchuk, Weber's Arlo Brubaker-Plitt, and Easton Bell, Sherwood Park's Hunter King, and Zach Donovan of the Cubs. And a big shout out to friend of the show, Sydney Moore from Absolute Baseball Academy. She picked up her first Foothills Major Baseball Association victory with the Calgary Cardinals this past weekend in a 14-4 romp over the Twins. She went 5 innings, allowing 3 runs on 6 hits and a walk while striking out 3, and she did all of that on Mother's Day. A happy belated Mother's Day to all of the moms out there, and as always, if you have a news tip to pass our way, just as Tommy did with that nugget about Sydney, email us at albertadugoutstories@gmail.com, or you can always drop us a note on social media. Now on to this week's guest, and he really needs no introduction. The native of Shreveport, Louisiana, Ray Brown was drafted in the 60th round of the 1969 MLB Draft by the Kansas City Royals. He spent 4 years in their organization before being released, and in 1975 came to Alberta to play for the Edmonton Tigers of the Alberta Major Baseball League. He met his future wife, who is from Lac La Biche, and ended up staying long-term in our province. He's coached at virtually every level ever since, including a few stints in the Western Canadian Baseball League with the Edmonton Prospects and Fort McMurray Giants. Most recently, he was with the Edmonton Collegiate Hawks and the WCL's Edmonton Riverhawks. He's back with the Giants again this summer, so we thought it'd be a good opportunity to catch up with him and hear more about his baseball journey, coaching philosophies, and so much more. Here's our conversation with Ray Brown.
Ray, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Back for a second tour of duty with the Fort McMurray Giants. You're no stranger to this league, so how excited are you to be back in the fold?
I'm anxious to get going. When I talked to Dutchie and I talked to Josh and I talked to Andrew, I said I can't wait to get going. I'm anxious to get back on the field and help Fort McMurray hopefully get back to the playoffs and maybe win a championship.
What was it about Fort McMurray in particular that made you go, yeah, I want to go back, instead of looking at maybe some of the other options that might have been out there across the league?
I like Fort McMurray. I like the ownership. Dutchie does a great job with the program. He's good to the players. He was good to me. It's the bad part about Fort McMurray. It's far. That's the only downside. The facility is great. The people in the town are great. It's a good place to be.
Absolutely. And I mean, the league is growing leaps and bounds, certainly over the last few years particularly. What is it about this circuit that makes you keep coming back?
Well, I still enjoy coaching. I enjoy being with the players who have passion and commitment. I like hopefully making a few tweaks in them so when they go home they're a little bit better. It's what I enjoy doing. I've been blessed that I've been able to do it for a long time, and the Lord's kept me healthy. And yeah, it's a lot of fun for me.
I always say that the summer college ball experience up here is a bit of a melting pot. You got all kinds of players coming from different backgrounds, different experiences. So as somebody who gets to bring them all together in a community like Fort McMurray, what's your expectation of these players? What's the culture that you want them to envelop while they're up there?
Well, if their goal is to become a professional player, it's to let them get a little bit of insight on how it is to be a professional player. Being to the park every day, being committed, being dedicated to chasing your dream, doing what's required, and giving the fans that you're playing for 100% of what they come to see.
Looking at the roster that you have now, what kind of team do you expect to have come the end of May, early June?
Well, Andrew does a pretty good job recruiting, and I've looked at most of the players he's bringing in. And on paper, we look pretty good. But unfortunately, you play the game on grass. Back when I was a kid, they always said the San Francisco Giants, when they had Mays and all those guys, they said they look great on paper, but they have to play on grass. And the Dodgers always seem to beat them.
So when you get that kind of, I mentioned that melting pot, but do you have an expectation of them when they show up, as far as whether it's community involvement or whether it's sort of the mentality that they bring on the field? Is there a certain aspect of that you want them to encapsulate, or do you kind of take a look at what you've got and go, okay, we can build that team mantra around what they're already bringing?
Well, the expectation is that they're coming here to play baseball. They're coming here to get better. They're coming here with a dream, and part of my goal and my assistant coach's job will be to help them chase that dream, so that when they leave here, they're better than when they got here.
You mentioned the assistant coaches. You're bringing a couple of familiar faces that were players under you a couple of years ago, Nick Cardinal and Tanner Hess. What's it mean to you, looking at that, to be able to not only give back to those developing players, but also coaches who are kind of learning the ropes of what a college coach is all about?
Well, I'm glad to have both of them. They both played hard for me. They were both good players, and they know what they're coming to. So they know they're going to come play for me, and they know what the expectation is. And that'll help guide the players in the direction that we need them to go to be successful.
I know the expectation is always, especially when everybody's 0-0, hey, we want to win a championship here. What needs to happen in your eyes for this program to get over that hump, get into the playoffs again, and become an every-year powerhouse, compete with the Dogs and Gulls of the world?
Well, the first thing we have to do is play basic baseball. We have to play catch. In my opinion, the most important skill in baseball is playing catch. If we can catch the ball and throw strikes, we have a good chance to be successful. Offense will take care of itself, but as long as we can do the basics of the game, we have a good chance to be in every game. Will we win every game? I don't know, but I know if we have a chance to be in every game, we have a chance to win every game.
Do you think there's been an overemphasis on some of the non-catch stuff? And I'll use, whether it's analytics, the data that's available now. Hey, everybody's got to throw 98 with all kinds of run on their pitches, as an example. Has it gotten away from some of those basic principles that allow you to be a good team?
I think it has. I think a lot of coaches have forgotten that analytics is a tool. It's not the Bible. And I think sometimes they rely too much on it instead of what their eyes tell them and what their instincts tell them. I like to use the analytics, but I don't let the analytics make the decision. I let my eyes and talking to my coaches, and then we'll make the decision. I've never been much of if it's a lefty batter against a lefty pitcher, we should change hitters. I tell people, I says, when Reggie Jackson came to the plate and they brought in the lefty pitcher, did they take Reggie Jackson out of the lineup? Mm-hmm. No, they let him hit. And so it's probably one of the biggest mistakes I saw, and this was in the World Series when the Dodgers played. They played Tampa Bay. Mm-hmm. When they had I forgot the pitcher's name, but they had him in the game, and he was beating down the Dodgers. And the analytics said he's not good after when it comes to the third time around, and they took him out of the game, and they wound up losing that game. And I just don't think you coach with analytics. I think you use it as a tool, the same as is this guy a pull hitter? Is this guy up the middle? What does he do? And then play the game.
You're speaking my language because I'm a Blue Jays fan, and I seem to remember a playoff appearance by Jose Barrios where he got pulled after 4 innings and he's throwing basically like 2-hit ball, and you're going, he's doing pretty well for himself. Why are we pulling him? And end up losing the game, and I'm again frustrated at the short playoff run that the Blue Jays have been on. But I digress. On that note, though, as someone who's coaching these young players, how important is it for you to get that message across that, hey, simplify your game, don't worry about what the analytics are saying today, maybe use it as a tool, but you make sure that you're feeling good and you're playing good and that all the essentials are there at the end of the day?
Well, I think that's the most important thing. Like a couple of years ago, I was helping Jake Lanferman with the Riverhawks that play out of the West Coast League, and all these guys were looking at the computers they have there, and what's this guy throwing? I go, no. I says, your eyes tell you how good the breaking ball is. Your eyes tell you where he's pitching. I says, just go up there and swing the bat. Don't worry about, what's the spin rate of this? What I tell the hitters, I says, I don't need a gun to tell me what the spin rate is. I says, the hitter will tell me what the spin rate is when he swings through the ball and sends his butt down. I don't need you to tell me the guy's throwing 98 miles an hour. A good example of a pitching is a kid named Halen Noel who's played in both leagues. Halen's played in the West Coast League and he's played in the Western Canadian League. And Halen Noel was a good pitcher in both leagues. And he went through maybe 88, 90 miles an hour. But he could pitch. I'm a big fan of location. Locate the pitch, you have a chance to be successful.
Do you think that is going to evolve back towards that? Another example that we've seen recently, Matt Wilkinson in Okotoks is now in Cleveland system and blew everybody away last year, and everybody's going, he doesn't have that overpowering stuff. It's like a 92 fastball, but man, it moves like nobody's business. Is that where we're getting to, is like it's location, it's about getting away from the bat from a pitcher's perspective?
Well, it depends on the scout. I do a little scouting with the San Diego Padres, and we have a place in Las Vegas, and we're there during the early spring. I went to the College of Southern Nevada, and they were playing Central Arizona, where Wilkins was going to school at the time.
Right.
And we're at that game. They bring Wilkins out of the bullpen to pitch. He strikes out 9 guys in a row. And I'm sitting with a scout who I was working for at the time, and I said, Scott, this guy just got 9 guys in a row. He said, yeah, right, but the gun only says 89 to 90. I said, Scott, put away the gun. Let your eyes tell you what you see. He just struck out 9 guys in a row. Well, if I turn this guy in, they're going to kind of laugh at me, and I might lose my job. I said, well, that's too bad, but you got to follow this guy. Well, we didn't follow him. Cleveland did, and now he's pretty close to being a major leaguer.
Amazing how your journey has gone, and I could go 1,000,001 different directions here, but I want to go back to the way back machine here. How did you get into baseball in the first place as a young boy growing up?
I was 10 years old, and my brother and I were delivering papers, and the guy that we were delivering the papers for was a Little League coach. And he asked us if we wanted to go play Little League baseball. And we said, yeah, we'll go play. And so we went to play, and I guess we were pretty good, and we made the team and we played. My brother only played for that one season because at the time my brother was left-handed, and my brother would catch the ball with his left hand and then take off the glove and throw it back in with his left hand. And the coach wanted him to change. Well, he couldn't make the change, and so he got frustrated and he left. Well, nowadays, they'd let him do that. And then eventually he would change on his own. But back in those days, no, you can't. You have to do things where you're supposed to do them. And he went on to play some football, and I stayed involved in baseball. And at the time, the Dodgers had just moved to Los Angeles.
Right.
And so we're hearing the Dodgers on the radio, Vin Scully, doing the games. And I'm standing there with a friend of mine one day, and I said, you know, when I get big and have a job, I want to be like these guys. I'm going to go do my work and then go play baseball at night. And my friend says, what do you mean, Ray? I said, well, I want to go play with the Dodgers, so I'll have my job. And he says, no. He said, that's their job. I said, what do you mean that's their job? He says, they get paid for playing. I said, they pay you for playing baseball? And so I said, wow, that's what I want to do. This was 1959. And so that's what I want to do. And I started following my dream. And luckily in 1969, I was drafted by the Royals in the 60th round, which nowadays I wouldn't be there no more 60th round. But I decided to stay in school. I went to Long Beach State for 2 years, and I signed with the Royals in 1971. Played for 4 years in their system. In 1975, I was released during the spring, and I knew I met Orv Branchuk when he was down at Long Beach State working on his master's, and he said, "You ever need a place to play? Give me a call." Well, I was released, so I needed a place to play. Gave him a call. Came up to Edmonton in 1975 to play for a team called the Edmonton Tigers. I played in the Alberta Major League.
Mm-hmm.
We went and played in the tournament in Lac La Biche, and that's where I met my wife, Lynn. I came back in 76, got married, and stayed in Edmonton.
Unbelievable story. Take us back, though, to the 70s. In 75, 76, you mentioned the Tigers. Paint us a picture for a moment of the Alberta Major Baseball League and what it was like playing in that circuit.
Oh, the Alberta Major League would win the West Coast Collegiate League. It was a very good league. There was only about 5 teams in it. There was us, there was Red Deer, there was Barhead, there was Calgary, and I can't remember if Lethbridge had a team or not. But there was 4 or 5 teams in the league, and it was guys like myself. There was a guy named Pete Duncan from Red Deer. Pete Duncan played with we put together the Royals organization, and this guy he could pitch and this guy could hit. He went to the university. He went to Washington State University, where he was an All-American third baseman. The Royals drafted him as a third baseman, and they made him a pitcher because they had just drafted a guy named George Brett in 1971.
Little known guy. Didn't have much of a career.
Oh, man. And so there was, it was a very good league. There were a lot of guys in that league eventually got to the major leagues. But yeah, it was a competitive league. It was a good league. We used to play during the week. So if we had a Wednesday night game in Calgary, we'd have to leave here around 4 o'clock to get there in time for the game, then get back after the game and go to work the next day. A lot different than senior baseball is nowadays.
Kind of what you were aiming towards when you first started dreaming about baseball. All of a sudden, it came reality. When you look back on those days, do you remember the one guy who you just looked at and went, "That's a player. Like, that's probably the best I've seen in this league"?
Well, there were a lot of ex-pro guys in our league, but one guy that played in our league, and I met him in 1976, was a guy named Randy Gregg. Mm-hmm. We all know who Randy Gregg is. And so he was 19 years old, and he wanted to come play senior men's baseball. And so he was at our tryout camp, and in 76, Orv was our manager, and we're in right field shagging some balls, and he's telling me about this kid named Randy Gregg. And I said, "Oh, this is his hitting right now, Ray." Well, he was at home plate, right-handed hitter, hitting balls over the right field fence at Renfrew Park. It was Renfrew Park then. Mm-hmm. Into the street. I go, "Holy Jesus, this guy hits pretty good." And he says, "Yeah, but he plays third base where a guy named Roger Pozo plays." And Roger Pozo was a very good third baseman. He could hit too. And as another ball goes over the fence, Warren says, "So where are we going to play him?" And as I watched the ball fly over the fence, I said, "Warren, wherever he wants." And so in 76, Randy was a rookie with us playing for the Edmonton Tigers. He could hit, he could field. He was a very good player. And it's in my opinion and Warren's opinion, he should have been a team captain player. He was that good. And
he goes on to a pretty good hockey career after all said and done anyway. So that life worked out pretty well for him, for sure. After the playing days were done, you obviously get into coaching, and you've accomplished a lot over the course of your career. When you look back on it, you've got Baseball Alberta awards, you've got a lifetime membership award. As a guy who moved here in '75, when you look back on it, what are you most proud of as you look back at all these years of coaching?
I'm very proud of the influence that I've had, especially in the Edmonton area. When I first came, there wasn't a lot of daily baseball. I think I might have been the first coach to have daily practices and play more than 2 games a week. And so we had guys like Gordy Gerlach, who was a Team Canada guy, coached a little bit with the Oakland A's. We had a guy named Doug McPhail, who was a Team Canada guy. A guy named Lee Nade, who played a few years with the Expos. A guy named Gordy Graves, who could just hit. He could hit. He should have been a Team Canada guy also. So and then we've had a guy. We had Sheen Bromley, who now runs development for Baseball Alberta. So a lot of guys came through that program that are now involved in baseball. I was talking to Jake Lanferman the other day. We were talking about some players, and I said, Jake, that guy played for me. Jake stepped back. He says, Ray, who hasn't played for you? I go, well, I guess a lot of guys have. So it's, I think the influence that I've had in Edmonton has made the baseball what it is today. When you look back at the guys who were involved and the way programs are being run, there's lots of development baseball because I think we changed the path to make it development baseball.
Where did that drive to change things come from? Because it could have been really easy for you moving up to a new country and kind of just assimilating yourself into the community of Lac La Biche, or moving into the Edmonton area and just kind of being cool with the status quo. What made you go, hey, let's change things up a little bit. Let's make things a little more baseball centric around here?
Well, because I don't think I've ever played the game just to play the game. I've always played the game with a drive to be the best that I could be. And fortunate for me, I had some very good coaches when I was in high school and junior college and university. Played for a guy named John Herbal in high school, and this guy was a baseball guy. Played for a guy named Joey Hicks when I was at Long Beach City. Again, a baseball guy. And I played for John Gonzalez at Long Beach State. All 3 of those coaches demanded the work ethic to be the best that you could be. And it just stayed with me. So when I got the pro ball, the only thing that changed is that we had games every day, because I was used to doing what it took to be as good as I could be. So when I came here, I brought that same attitude with me, that if I'm going to coach, then we're going to coach for a purpose to make guys better. And if guys want a chance to go to school, we're going to try to get them that opportunity. And so it's just how I am. As my wife said to me one time, she says, I can never play for you because you're too mean to your guys. Well, I don't know if I was mean to them, but I demanded them to do what's asked of them so we can be as good as we can be. And that's why I tell the college guys, I says, I don't know if we're going to win every game, but I know if every game we give 100%, we may not like the result, but we can sleep at night. And that's how I've lived my life, and that's how I coach the teams I coach.
It's a great way of looking at it. In recent history here, you've coached in the WCBL, not with just Fort McMurray, but now the name change to Edmonton Prospects. I want to ask you about a couple of guys who've had some pretty good success in the pro ranks already. When I see the name Eric Zabrowski, what comes to mind for you?
Good kid, worked hard, good two-way player. He came to the park to be as good as he could be. He never had any problems with Eric. He was driven to be a professional player, and he after 2 surgeries, there he is. He's in the major league. I think he's hurt right now. I think he's on the injury list right now. But he put in the effort, put in the work, and I think once he got into pro ball, he changed the gear and got a little better at that, to do the things he needed to do to be successful.
Did you know at the time, as you're coaching this young kid, that he had something special going on?
Oh yeah. But he wasn't a high velocity guy, but he could pitch. He challenged the hitters. He was a strike through who challenged the hitters. He competed.
Mm-hmm. The other name that comes to mind out of that little era there was, among many others, I think, Matt Kootenay, Wetaskiwin boy as well. What do you remember of his time as a young prospect slugger?
When we first got him, he was a shortstop. And so we played there a few games, and I said, Matt, I think you have to go play third base or first base. Because he didn't have enough range to be a shortstop.
Mm-hmm.
He could field the ball, but he just couldn't make the plays you need to make to be successful. And worked a little bit with his hitting. We tweaked a few things. He had a good season for us, and he went back to school, and the rest is history. He got a chance to play.
How cool is it in your eyes when you see a guy like Sabrowski or a guy like Kootenay or any of the number of guys you've had over the course of your career go on to bigger and better things? And it doesn't necessarily need to be pro ball, but it could be, a successful college career and go on to cool life things. Like, walk us through your mindset as you're watching these young men turn into grown men and family men and all the rest of it.
Right now, my doctor is a guy who played for me.
Wow.
Randy Gregg is the sports medicine guy that helps with our team and helps me when I have an injury. My lawyer is a guy that played for me. So I go, wow, I'm pretty lucky that all these guys that came and played for me are successful in doing something else besides baseball. And I hope that some of the things they learned by being on the field with me helped them get to where they wanted to go. Just the commitment, the dedication, the passion, the drive, the just stick-to-itiveness that makes you become as successful as you can become.
It's got to be a very cool feeling. As I got a few more for you, and then we'll let you go. First off, as someone who's been around the league and around this province for as long as you have now, I mean, I feel like I'm relatively new to it, and I feel like I've seen a lot of evolution in the game here over the last couple of decades, particularly. What do you see? What do you see standing out about what's happening in the game here in this province right here and now?
Well, there are some very good things. I like how they have the BALE, which is the Baseball Alberta Elite Baseball. I like that because it lets the better kids play against each other. I'm not a real big fan of all the academies I see because I think the academies drain the local clubs like the St. Alberts, the Sherwood Parks, the Edmontons, the Spruce Groves. I think all those programs get drained of high quality players going to these academies, and I don't think that we need all those academies. I think sometimes academies, well, they're there to make money. But I don't think they tell the people that pay the bills the real truth. I think they tell them, we can make your son better. And so as soon as a parent, when they say you can make my son better, the parent sees Major League. Mm-hmm. Well, he didn't say that. He said he can make you better, and they will. Academies will make you better, but they can't give you talent. You have to have talent. And when I go talk to players and I go talk to parents, I tell them if nobody's knocking on your door, your player or your son is average. And there's nothing wrong with being average because 90% of the world is average. I said, so if you're average, instead of thinking about going to play college baseball in the United States, stay in Canada and play in the CCBC where you're going to get probably a better education. You're going to get just as good coaching, all right, and you're going to get the opportunity to play. I said, and you're still going to get scouted. I said, there's not a player in Alberta or Saskatchewan or in Canada that's playing at a decent level that hasn't been scouted. It's not like when I came in 1975, 76, there were very few scouts running around, so we had to go find a place for these guys to get clean. They're here all the time watching. They're watching you play. I said, so if no matter what college league you're playing in, they're going to be scouted. And if they get better, that's going to be seen. I said, you're going to save a heap of money by paying Canadian dollars instead of U.S. dollars, and your son's going to have an opportunity to play. And I also say to them, You send your son to a college or junior college in the U.S. If he's equal to the American, who do you think is going to play?
Mm-hmm.
The American's going to play. I said it's no different when we bring American players up to play for the Giants this year. If the American player is equal to the Canadian player, I'm going to send the American home. I don't need him.
Mm-hmm.
I got a guy that's already that good. I said, so for me to keep Americans, he's got to be better than the Canadian so that people see why he's playing. No different when you cross the border. You got to be better than the Americans so they can see why this guy is playing.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody has their own thoughts and their own visions, what they want to do, and as I learned from my friend named CJ, he's a guy from New Zealand, who's been here for a few years. He says, Ray, too many people drink the Kool-Aid. And I said, yeah, well, people drink the Kool-Aid. The guy comes, the cabinet guy comes and talks to him. He gives them all this stuff, and they see visions of grandeur. I guess it'd be the same like in hockey, eh?
Mm-hmm.
They'd say, oh, he'll be in the NHL in 2 years. And in 2 years, he's doing something else. You guys just don't. You need ability. You need talent.
I always say I can coach talent, I can't teach attitude. And that's something that it sounds like that rings very true in your mind as well. As you need to be able to be coachable as well as have a little bit of talent on the side.
That's right. If you're coachable, there's every guy that plays in the major leagues is not outstanding. There are some very average guys in the major leagues who get there through hard work, dedication, and doing the little things that coaches look for. The little things that coaches look for.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them make pretty good careers. And there's other guys, like when I was playing, I played longer than a lot of guys who had more talent than me because I could make the adjustments I needed to make to stay. And they couldn't do it. Or else they thought it was party time, and instead of getting ready to play, they were out all night. So you've got to have the passion, the desire, the commitment, the work ethic, and the dedication to be good in anything. To be good at anything. Like what you do right now, if you don't have the passion and the work ethic, you won't be good at what you do. You won't be doing it long. They'll go get somebody else. So it's the same in anything, no matter what it is. If you're the garbage man who picks up trash, if you're not good at what you do, don't get somebody else. You've got to enjoy what you do. You've got to like it. It just can't be a job. When it's just a job, you look for days off.
Absolutely.
Someone said to me one day, they said, how long am I going to do this? When am I going to retire? I said, retire and do what? I'm already doing what I'd be doing if I was retired.
That is fantastic. A couple more here. You've worked with some pretty good young coaching talent. You mentioned Jake. You got Nick and Tanner coming up with you as well in Fort Mac as a couple of the examples. New programs that are sprouting up and making waves with Riverhawks as an example. When you look at the future for baseball here in Alberta, across Canada, what excites you the most?
Oh, it's going to get better. It's just there's more kids playing. There's more kids with a dream, which is all good stuff. But I think we have to do a better job with the kids that aren't playing just in the travel programs. I think we have to do a better job with the house league kids. Right now, before I go to Fort McMurray, I'm doing some work with St. Albert. And I mentioned to Curtis Miller, I think we need to spend a whole lot more time with the house league coaches to give them some information of how they can run a more successful practice. I said, so maybe some of those kids will eventually be playing on the rep teams. And if they're going to play on the rep teams, they need to know what they need to know before they get there, so they're not behind the kids who've been in the rep programs.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we have to change that a little bit, so that no matter what, whether you're house league or rep, you're getting quality coaching. Coaches, that's our job. Not just, and there's nothing wrong with dad coaches are great, because without dad coaches, a lot of these kids wouldn't play. But we have to give dad coaches a little more information on how to run a structured practice, on things to look for when they're running their practice, so they can help make their kids better.
Mm-hmm. Some great stuff. I can go on for days with you, Ray. One final question. It's one we ask everybody here on the show. What does the game of baseball mean to you?
Wow. It's been my life for 66 years. It's given me, it's given me a lot of stuff. It's given me something to do. It's given me a passion for life. And I'm so lucky that my wife, Lynn, is also a sports well, she likes sports, and she likes baseball. She goes to almost all the games, and my daughter likes baseball, and it's maybe I've met a lot of people that have become my friends and some acquaintances, but I've been a blessed man. I've been a blessed man.
Well, we've been blessed to have you on for half an hour and could go on for a full 3 hours, I'm sure. But I'm not running Joe Rogan's podcast, so I don't have to worry about that. Very, very grateful for you to spend a little bit of time with us and get to know a little bit about your journey, Ray. Congrats on everything. Best of luck this season in Fort Mac and beyond. And again, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
And again, thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
Thanks again to Ray Brown for joining us this week, and thanks to all of you for downloading and listening. Now would be a great time for you to hit that subscribe button as we are gearing up for a busy summer of baseball action. Next week, we'll have full coverage of the CCBC World Series, followed by a two-part, yes, you heard that right, two-part WCBL season preview extravaganza that you will not want to miss. As always, a tip of the cap to our Platinum supporters for all they do for us and for baseball in Alberta. The Okotoks Dogs, Under the Lights Sports and Entertainment, and the Western Canadian Baseball League have been incredible supporters in helping us cover costs like web hosting fees, travel, and much more. If you'd like to join our roster of sponsors, head to albertadugoutstories.com/supporters. Until next time, thank you for all of your support online, on social, and on air of Alberta Dugout Stories.